So a while back I made a video titled, "What is the minimum amount of times Octopus Form is needed to beat Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion?" And I said that if enough people liked the video, I would fully complete the game. I'd say this was enough to suffice, so here it is. In this video, I'm going to be completing Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion. I recommend watching the last video I did on this because some of the missions in this game will be skipped since I already played them in the last video. I'll also be adding the score from last video onto our score for this video, so once again I encourage you to watch the first video since this is a part 2. The rules for this are simple as always. Anytime I turn into an octopus, I add a point to our final counter. I can be in octopus form for as long as I want until I turn back into an octoling. Ink rails count towards our counter, and ride rails are fine as long as I don't transform while I'm on the rail. Grapplinks will not count as being an octopus even though we clearly turn into an octopus. I'm not counting this because it's an animation octopus transformation, meaning that I never really activated it myself. I'm also not counting squid jumping because of the same reason. However, we do have to be right on top of the launch pad to actually get the squid jump animation. You may say that I activated it since I pressed ZL, but it's actually very similar to entering a boss kettle from the main game, meaning that ZL was only triggering the animation and not actually letting us use the octopus in any way. There will also be a message that appears if we fail too many times that will allow us to skip the mission we're currently having trouble on. We'll not be using this since completing the game means that we'll need all 80 mem cakes, which we can get from completing missions, and skipping a mission will not grant us any mem cakes. After we collect all 80 mem cakes, we can unlock a secret mission, and once that mission is completed, our score will be finalized. I'm also going for under 101 octopus transformations. Anyways, with all that out of the way, we can start with our first mission, which will be Far Out Station. This was the first problem in our last video since we're supposed to bring the Rainmaker to the other end of this map. To actually hold on to the Rainmaker, we'd have to climb up this podium, but we would have to be in octopus form to actually do that. Instead, I decided to scout out the entire map and ink a path going towards the end. There were a few octolings on the way there, but nothing I couldn't really handle. When I reached the enemy side, I quickly took care of the octolings that were waiting for me, and then I tried to die as fast as possible using this ink wall, so I would quickly reach the Rainmaker after I respawned. Oh yeah, I should probably mention that after a certain amount of time, the octolings will respawn, and if I don't get to the enemy side fast enough, I will most certainly not be able to sneak past them. In the end, I made it to the enemy side using our 28th octopus transformation, and you can actually see the octolings jump right over me the second I finished the mission. Our next mission was Dinky Ink Station. We were tasked to complete this level with a limited amount of ink. At the beginning we see some ink rails, but if we wanted to use them we would have to go into octopus form. Since I didn't really want to use them, I tried to find a better way to go about this mission. In the corner of this first area, we can see a stack of boxes, and the orange box on the top actually has a full tank that we can grab. After we grab the ink tank, we can walk over to this area with a fan and jump over these boxes after using the fan to move our platform upwards. At the end of this mission, we run into an octoling that can be defeated pretty easily, making this mission possible without using octopus form. Our next mission was Toastmaster Station, and our job is to defeat the Octo Oven XXL. This battle isn't too different from Octo Valley's version of this battle, but this time enemies spawn on top of the oven, and sprinklers also spawn on the sides of the oven. These elements make the battle more difficult, but we can easily complete it without using octopus form. Octo Station has us shoot at some spinning ink switches, and these change where objects in the map will be placed. After climbing up this wall, we see a perfect example of these ink switches in action. After we shoot at this switch, we can climb up this wall and stand on top of this cube slowly falling down. Now that we're on the cube, we can shoot at this switch once again, and when we do this, the block will quickly move upwards. With a well-timed jump, we can land on another block by using the momentum of the previous block. Right after, we had to climb up this wall and jump on this spinning platform. This level requires us to use the octopus 3 different times. Rad Ride Station is up next, and we need to bring this tower to the enemy side of this map. This is basically just tower control, so this can be completed while using octopus form 0 times. Next up is Fly 8 Ball Station, and we had to play a game of Breakout with this 8 ball. Nothing changes at all from normal gameplay, so this was a free mission. Notorious Station is our next stop, and we only have access to curling bombs during this mission. But once again, nothing really changed from normal gameplay, so we can easily complete this mission without using the octopus. Our next mission is Inca Station, and they give us 2 walls that we need to climb near the start of the mission. The end of the mission also gives us a wall that we'll need to climb, bringing us to a total of 3 octopus transformations needed to beat this mission. Tubular 8-ball station is up next, and we have to roll this 8-ball down some ramps. Everything goes well until we reach the very end of the mission. We'll need to use an ink rail to get one of the final areas, and we'll also need to climb this wall. We can finish this mission shortly after, but it did make us turn into an octopus 2 times. Our next mission is Brute Roll-Up Station, and we had to defeat 11 enemies using Rolonium. Nothing changes from normal gameplay, so this is a free mission for us. Splats Station is our next mission, and it's mostly about flinging ink onto our enemies, and climbing up at least 1 wall. The second section of this mission makes us use an ink rail, and the same goes for the final section. I had to make sure I landed on top of this pillar so I could defeat all the enemies that would be unreachable from the ground level. This mission can be completed with the help of the octopus, which we used 3 times. Our next mission is Breakdance Station, and all we have to do is defeat some enemies, making this a free mission. The same goes for Hasta Vista Station, House Party Station, and Bodacious Station. These 3 missions aren't very different from the normal gameplay, but the first one of the trio has us climb this wall at the very start of the mission, which is kind of out of place. Bodacious Station is also kind of different since it has balloons and we had to destroy 20 of them with a pretty strict time limit. It also doesn't help that we use so much ink with each sniper shot, so I had to wait almost 10 seconds so I could reload my ink and shoot more balloons. Gnarly Rail Station is up next, and this requires 1 octopus at the very end of the level since we need to use these bounce pads. And after using them, we get sent to a second set, and we can just use the octopus we were already using to move past it and get to the end. Freakazoid Station has us climb up this wall to reach a boost panel that'll give us a perfect shot to hit a switch. Once the switch is activated, the floor beneath us will start to rise. You can actually get a boosted jump when this happens, but I was unable to make any use of it unfortunately. There are also 2 ink rails that we'll have to use, and we'll also have to climb another wall to get to the end of the mission. In total, we had to become an octopus 4 times. Wack 8-ball station starts with us actually trying to find the 8-ball, which requires us to use the octopus 2 times. One to climb this wall and the other to climb this spinning wall. After that, we're pretty much done with the mission, but we still have to bring the ball back to the beginning, which isn't very difficult to do. Next up is Iceman Station, and this one has an interesting ending. This mission provides us with the inkjet, and we can play most of the level pretty much as intended, but at the end we face off against this giant drop. And if you watched the last video, you'll know that this is possible, but just really difficult. When you jump off a ledge and onto the ground while using the inkjet, you'll hover over the ground just like you never even jumped. However, you will gain a subtle amount of downwards momentum. The goal points in this game are on a piece of ground that are slightly elevated, so if we're going to collect this goal point, we would have to grab it from the side instead of just directly dropping onto it. So with the momentum plus the slight change of height, we can collect the goal point and complete the mission without using Octopus Form a single time. Next up is Don't Ralph Station, and we have access to some more ink switches and 2 walls to climb right at the start. After climbing those 2 walls, we see yet another wall, but normally we would need to use 2 octopus transformations since we would need to climb this wall and shoot at this ink switch to allow these octo missiles to fly over to this other ink switch and bring us a platform. Unfortunately, this platform is barely too far away for us to just simply jump to, so we had to think of a different plan. I thought of throwing bombs on top of the walls, but it didn't work out so well. Then I remembered that if you run while throwing a splat bomb, you'll reach a much farther distance. Once the bomb landed on the wall, I quickly jumped on the inked part of the wall, and then jumped on the taller wall and started climbing up. Once I made it to the top, I was able to jump on the platform that the octo missiles brought to me. After that, we had to climb 2 more walls to reach the end, making us use a total of 5 octopus transformations during this one level. Heinous 8-ball station is up next, and it doesn't really give us much of a challenge without using an octopus. We had to shoot at some ink furlers to move the 8-ball, and the ending was so cool it made my recording audio lag. We also had to climb up 2 walls during this mission. Hypercolor Station also doesn't change too much from normal gameplay, and it also makes us jump up 2 walls. And yes, the ending made me lag as well. Splats 8-ball station is tic-tac-toe but with 8 balls, and it doesn't change at all from normal gameplay. The bomb station has us utilize splat bombs to destroy balloons, and we have to use an ink rail to reach this area with an Octo Commander. But we can easily take care of him, and after using the launch pad the Octo Commander was hiding, we can reach this section that'll only spawn balloons once we get on top of this ink rail. However, there is an ink gusher nearby, and you can actually gain enough momentum from the gusher to spawn the balloons. We can easily pop these balloons and make it to the next area, but man, what a trick jump that was. The final area needs an ink rail to access, and we have to face off against one Octoling, which doesn't take too long. And we can finish this mission right after with a total of 2 octopus transformations needed. Squeegee Funk Station has us lure some industrial squeegees so we can climb on them. This entire mission just makes us ride the squeegees everywhere, and near the end we have to hide in our ink to just barely avoid this ink stick. After that, we can reach the end and complete the mission while needing only 1 octopus transformation. Cratebuster Station was pretty rough. We had to break 80 crates in 30 seconds. And since we couldn't really reload our ink quickly, that timer was going to be pretty strict. However, some of these boxes included a splashdown special, so my plan was to go straight for one of these so I can get a whole bunch of boxes out of the way right off the bat. After that, the rest of the mission was pretty self-explanatory. Bodacious Rotation Station has us collect data points on this platform that spins every few seconds. This is a pretty easy mission since the spinning doesn't really hinder our gameplay very much. Drop the Base Station is next, and this is a boss battle against the Octo Stomp Redux. I thought this was going to be easy until I saw the choices of weapons, specifically sub-weapons. For some reason we're only allowed to use our curling bombs, but thankfully we can get the bamboozler so we could at least get a chance to actually hit the tentacle at the top of the Octo Stomp. One problem was definitely going to come up that I knew was going to have to be addressed though. The last time I played this boss battle, I abused the bottom section of the map since you could throw splat bombs high enough to reach the tentacle on the top of the Octo Stomp's head. But I just don't think the bamboozler is going to quite make the cut for this one. Thankfully you could actually hit the tentacle if you're on the main part of the arena, making phase 1 and 2 possible. Phase 3 on the other hand, not so much. This phase was insanely difficult since we had to not only dodge the Octo Commander shooting at us, but we had to dodge this insanely fast attack where the Octo Stomp would faceplant into the ground right next to us with all 3 of his faces. This was insane to dodge, and most of the time I wasn't even able to dodge the attack. But I had a strategy though. I would try to go right next to him while the Octo Commander was shooting so I would be able to rack up some damage. And then after the Octo Commander stopped shooting, I had to turn to survival mode and dodge his attacks as best as I could. Eventually I removed his faces, but just barely, as you can see. After successfully removing his extra faces, we can beat this mission without using Octopus Form. Slow Ride Station was a pretty cool mission. We had to ink some switches to stop platforms from moving, and the second platform looked almost impossible to climb up, but I just barely made it on by using a well-timed jump. And for the final part of the mission, we had some swinging blocks. I tried to think of something really elaborate, but after I remembered how I beat Bodacious Rotation Station, I realized I could just jump on top of the first swinging block and make it to the end without using the octopus a single time. Popstar Station doesn't change at all from normal gameplay since we don't really need to reload our ink because of the amount of spread these balloons have. Stamped Up Station. I judged this book by its cover last time, so I guess I have to play it this time. We have to climb up the first Octo Stamp, and for the second one, they provided us with a ride rail that we can use to just jump over to the next area. This area makes us climb up this Octo Stamp to reach the final section, but what if there was a different way to go about this? Since there's a bounce pad, I wanted to see if I could lure the Octo Stamp closer to the edge and somehow jump on top of it. I waited until the Octo Stamp started shaking, and then I held down jump so I'd get a boosted jump from the bouncer, and I successfully jumped on top of the Octo Stamp. Our next step would be to jump on the bouncer on top of the head of the Octo Stamp, but it's kind of sideways. My solution for this was to throw a splat bomb into its view so I could hopefully bounce high enough with the bouncer to reach the ride rails above. And it worked. What? Now all that was left to do was to actually finish the mission. We can do this by popping this balloon and climbing up the Octo Stamp tower before they stand up. This mission only made us use the octopus 2 times, which was actually crazy. Papalicious Station is another mission where we need to pop some more balloons, but this time we have to chase after them before they run away. We have to go through these grates at the beginning since we can't really jump over them, and this level has us utilize the insane range the Jet Squelcher has. But even with that range, the ending of this mission is still pretty stressful, since we're just barely fast enough to pop some of these balloons, making a total of 1 octopus transformation needed to complete this mission. The O Station wasn't too difficult. The first area had us jump on top of this ink furler to reach an area with some octopods. After this section, we'll have to climb to reach this launch pad, and the area it brings us to has a few enemies that we can easily take out. To get to the final section, we can use this ink gusher to give us enough height to reach the launch pad, and this final section took me a while to beat, since there were just so many enemies, but I eventually cleared out the area and finished the mission with only 1 octopus transformation. Matchmaker Station has us break some boxes to fit this shape of the dog on the left. This doesn't change at all from normal gameplay, so we can easily complete this mission without using Octopus Form. Jump Station also doesn't change from normal gameplay, since there isn't really any area that we would need to use the octopus for. Bring It Station is a Rainmaker mission where we have to bring a Rainmaker from our side to the enemy side. The gameplay you can see on screen right now was my route to complete this mission, but there were octolings along this route I took that were trying to stop me from bringing the Rainmaker to their base, but I eventually made it through to their base and beat the mission without becoming an octopus. Tubular Station required a lot of planning and thinking, but I still believe I didn't do the best I could. This mission takes place inside of a segmented square, and in each square except for the middle, there will be a data point. The middle of the square has a cube that'll turn the entire square around by 90 degrees, and to get each segment of the square, you'll need to go through these grates that are only accessible if you're using Octopus Form. The best I could do for this mission was 5 octopus transformations, but I had to do so many setups just to get a few of these. I had to shoot the top of this cube a few times so I could spread the ink around with the octopus. I had to ink a wall so I'd be able to actually get on top of the cube, and it was just too much for my brain to try and figure out how to get 8 data points optimally. Ink from Above Station is up next, and for this mission we don't get a weapon. We eventually find a weapon, but we had to go through these grates to actually get them, and after that we had to go up some sponges and ride over to the final area using an ink switch, making us use a total of 5 octopus transformations needed to complete this mission. One Shot Station doesn't require the octopus, but it's definitely one of the coolest missions. Bracelet Station is up next, and it starts with us immediately having to climb a wall using the octopus. There's a second wall shortly after, and then we had to climb up this wall that has a very strict timer attached to it. But instead of actually climbing the entire wall, I decided to climb halfway up and walk across one of the ink furlers. This final section has us climb up 2 walls, making us have to use 4 octopus transformations throughout the mission. Mad Prop Station was pretty interesting. We had to shoot at fans to move spinning platforms across the map, and I thought this mission was pretty fun. No octopus needed. All that 8-ball station was all about getting the right angles, and I was able to complete this mission pretty easily. Goose Station was another inkjet mission, and for the first section, I thought I could just fly over to the next area, but I quickly found out that this was not possible. We had to use 1 ink rail to reach the next section. This area has a higher elevation than the area ahead of us, so I decided to fly over to this next area and defeat some octopods in the process. Our next challenge was to fly to this area, which wasn't too far away distance-wise. The problem with this is that it was also not too far away height-wise, making us just barely miss the edge. But if we carefully stand on the edge of this platform we're on, we can jump and use the inkjet boost to get to the next area. The next section requires us to go over and under some ink sticks, and we can do this pretty easily by falling off the edge to lose height. The final section before we can collect the goal point has us defeat some enemies and then climb up this ink rail. Now, how do we collect this goal point exactly? Well, we could actually use this arch behind the goal point to drop down and collect it, making this mission need 2 octopus transformations. Labyrinth Station has us walk through a path that has enemies attacking us. Near the beginning, we'll need to break some boxes to swim through this gate and climb up this wall. After that, we see this large room with some octolings, and I realized right here that this was actually supposed to be the tutorial room. And after doing some precise jumps on these pillars, we can reach the final section of this mission, which mainly has us dodge enemy fire while moving closer to the goal point, giving us a total of 2 octopuses needed to complete this mission. These scallywags can turn into octopuses. It's octopi or octopodes, not octopuses. Ink and Wash Station doesn't require Octopus Form, and Wackfoo Station's boss doesn't even let you use Octopus Form. Outrageous Station is pretty normal, but we do have to climb up 1 wall towards the end to reach the goal. Bust and Move Station is exactly like Bodacious Rotation Station, except this time we have to smash targets within a certain time limit. The time limit wasn't really a problem, and I thought this mission was pretty cool. Totally 8 Ball Station has us break some bumpers with 8 balls, and although this is an 8 ball mission, there wasn't any issues with us bringing the 8 balls to the finish line. Also, this launch pad is attached to the wall, which I thought was quite odd. Rad Ride Station gives us a large circle of enemies that we can spin around and shoot at. This wasn't too difficult, so I was able to complete this mission without needing to use Octopus Form. Bodacious 8 Ball Station is up next, and our job is to chase this 8 ball before it gets away from us. For the first section, I hit the ball once I was already halfway to where I needed to go, so I was able to have enough time to hit this switch on the wall. The next section has us wait until the wall goes up, but we also have to climb this wall to catch up to the 8 ball. The ending of this mission just has us hop on this ride rail and hit a few switches. After that, we can finish this mission with only one octopus transformation. McFly Station doesn't require Octopus Form, and Abracadabra Station requires a whopping 9 octopus transformations to complete, since everything is spaced out vertically. Baller Size Station doesn't let you turn into an octopus, and Sweet Ride Station makes us ride this tower to the enemy side of the map. It was pretty difficult, but definitely possible. Scooter Mix Station is unreasonably easy to complete, and Inca Station, for our final mission of the game, we immediately have to start out with climbing not 1, not 2, but 3 walls. After that, we'll have to ink up this wall, climb it, and then climb up our final wall to reach the last goal of this game, bringing us to a total of 96 times that the octopus was needed. Now it's time for us to go to Central Station. Once we arrive, we see a glowing light coming from one of the lockers. After investigating this locker, we discover a UFO, and on top of this UFO, we see Agent 3. This is the final boss. It may seem like a rematch against Agent 3 from the escape sequence, but this time she has significantly increased health, accuracy, and aggressiveness. Can we beat it without using Octopus Form? Let's find out. My strategy for this was to hide behind this wall as soon as possible to wait for Agent 3's splashdown. After she throws an auto bomb near us, I would try to go behind a wall so I wouldn't get hit. But this attempt didn't really work out that way, so instead I went full on aggression mode and tried to shoot Agent 3 as much as possible. I'm actually surprised how lucky I got here, since Agent 3 missed 3 shots with the Inkjet special. After she squid jumped to her UFO, I hid behind this wall so I'd be ready to attack in the scenario where Agent 3 uses her splashdown right next to me. That scenario ended up happening, and I was able to deal a ton of damage since I was able to corner her into one of these walls right after she used the bubble blower special. After Agent 3 jumped to the UFO once again, I hid behind this cylindrical wall so I could prepare for her next attack. This next move was going to be the most difficult section of this entire battle, and I tried to deal as much damage to her as possible before she unleashed her auto bomb rush special. I missed too many times, as you can see, but thankfully Agent 3 is just as bad. She ended up giving me the perfect shot I needed, which was really nice. The next section has Agent 3 attack us from on top of the UFO, and I waited until I had a full tank of ink so I'd be able to throw a splat bomb to bring her HP down and then shoot upwards to deal the remaining damage. I hid behind this wall again so I could prepare for the final phase of this boss battle. Agent 3 lands in with a splashdown, then she uses another splashdown, and after her 4th splashdown, I made sure to keep shooting at her even if I took damage. And with that, we have completed Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion while using the minimum amount of octopus transformations. Our goal today was to get a score lower than 101, and we beat that by 3 points, making Octopus Form needed a total of 97 times throughout all 80 missions this game had to offer. Thanks for watching this video, and feel free to check out some of my other videos if you enjoyed this one. Also, I'll be doing this challenge for Splatoon 3 when that comes out. Anyways, that's all I got.